Hi, Dr. Fred DiDomenico with Tuesday Morning Transformation. Do you like this body language? And again, with us, this is about learning how to live from our divinity as opposed to our humanity. We can go through both, right? We use this metaphor always, every week. It's like a hologram. You know, can we see from our humanity a spiritual being living in a human body, having human experiences, yet we can have a divine spiritual consciousness because that's really who we are. So one of the spiritual principles that I've been practicing lately is the spiritual principle of surrender. That's so funny because sometimes that can be the hardest thing, right? So our greatest gift, everything is a double-edged sword. Our greatest gift could be our greatest challenge, because when people are strong, they're driven, they have goals, you know, they can push through obstacles. And then what happens? See, our greatest gift could be a really strong willpower. We have courage. But then what's the greatest problem? What's the other side? That we push to have our own solutions. We see a problem and we want to fix it. We want to control it. We want to manipulate it. We want it to be this outcome. And then sometimes the problem is we get what we want, right? And then that's a bigger problem than the original problem. So how do we surrender? Well, first of all, I would start with 4 subconscious beliefs. And subconscious beliefs are things that you know that you don't have to think about, but you feel them in your body. They're in your physiology, and that's what you experience. So what's one? Number 1, I'm a spiritual being first, right? So when I say I'm a divine being, number 2 is I'm in a universe that has intention. I'm here with the sole purpose, and the whole universe, God is guiding me. Things in my life happen for a reason. What's number 3? Number 3 is that I'm always being guided, right? It means that because I'm connected, I'm always being guided, and the universe has intention, that things in my life come in and out of my life, and if I pay attention to the things in my life, then I use that as direction. And what's number 4? With God, everything is always better. That means God has the best intention, and if I just can rely on Him, that things always work out. They always work out for the best. So that's a mantra of mine. With God, everything is always better. And so what really is surrendering? The definition of surrender is when we abandon and we totally let go, right? And we put our faith and we release ourself and we put our faith in something bigger than us. I mean, that's not literally the definition, but from a spiritual aspect, that's what it is. So it means I receive guidance. What's that mean? That I can let go of my mind and that I can follow all those signs because of those 4 subconscious beliefs. So when you have a problem, I know that we have challenges, or we have even a goal. And when we surrender, we can say, God, how do you want me to do it? Now in lead, I always say to the doctors, you know, the dumber you are, the more successful you'll be. Why? Because when you have the answers, then you try and push an outcome. Right? And do we need to take massive action? Hey, no question. But the dumber you are, the more successful you'll be. I may not have the best answer. I have this answer, but with God, if everything is better, what's the best answer? So when you say, you know what, God's smarter than me, and I receive that direction, then I can say, the dumber I am, so to speak, then that means it lends to curiosity. And curiosity leads to creativity. And creativity may mean a new strategy. And isn't that fascinating? Now there's a biblical story in the Old Testament. Moses was taking the Jews through the desert and they needed water, right? So God told him, strike the rock. So he struck the rock twice. The rock split open and provided water. Now later, they needed more water. And God said, speak to the rock. But what did Moses do? He struck the rock. Why? Because it worked before, but no water poured out. And then that was like a sign of him not being faithful. When he spoke to the rock, then water came out. So here you are in the same situation. Here we are. But yet, we're in the same situation, but if we do the same thing, what worked before may not work now. And so this is why the dumber you are, the more successful you'll be, because you can find yourself in the same position, right? But you need a new strategy. It's a different time. It may look the same, but could it be different? Is there a better strategy now? Now I remember years and years and years ago, I was in a marriage and I was going through some, just challenges like every marriage goes through. And I said, God, I'm just going to let you fix this. So tell me what I should do. And I got the message was just wait, because in 2 years it's not going to matter. And I went, wow, and I had this vision. And what happened was my wife ended up getting cancer and passing away. That was 1.5 years. And so what it was what was the message? What you're going through now doesn't matter. There's a bigger picture. And through that disease, there was so many things that healed. So I look at the relationship that I'm in now, the relationships I'm in now, I look at totally differently. So I find, when I surrender, God doesn't speak in paragraphs. When you listen to that intuitive voice, it's not like he's got some big story. What it is maybe a one-liner, or typically it's one word. So the funny thing is, when you say, okay, God, what should I do in this situation? A lot of times that message is just wait. I get wait. I get relax. I get breathe. And I get love. And love is always the answer. Isn't that fascinating when it comes to like building a business or a lead? What is it? When you have customers, just love your people. Just love people, because love grows. You know what I mean? When it's in a situation, just wait, because the universe is like the tide. The tide comes in and the tide goes out. Do we try and control the tide? No, why? Because you can't. So there's certain things in your life that we're just better off not controlling. There's certain situations that come into our life because of our consciousness. So if we change our consciousness, they come in and they go out. On a quantum level, atoms move in a sine wave. Like they move like this, so there's ups and downs, right? So if we just flow with the universe, we flow with the quantum energy of the universe that we know. And particles move like this, different frequencies, right? Some move slower and bigger sine waves, some move faster, but really it's the same type of pattern. The tide moves in and the tide moves out. See, if the tide feels like it's out, then are you stressed and worried because the tide's out? Or are you focused on the wave that's coming in? Because the tide doesn't stay out. How long the tide stays out is your own resistance, right? Our own resistance determines that time frame on how long that tide stays out. So if we say, there's beauty in the tide being out, because that means the wave's coming in. And that means I can enjoy both. Why? Because I don't try and control it. I surrender. I move with the energy of the universe. And I realize that we move like this, and the tide moves in and the tide goes out. Right? So if we don't try and control it, yet when we surrender, and then that answer comes to us, the universe will open a door. And when it opens that door, we need to move, right? That's where will and courage and says, that door is open now. Move through that door now. Because when those opportunities present themselves, those doors don't stay open. They may flash open and you're supposed to move, but if you don't, or you deny it, or you resist it, then they close again. And that was the opportunity. It doesn't mean another door won't open. And it doesn't mean, that we need to say, well, we need to question. It's when you surrender and those answers come to you, then we need to move now, right? We need to take massive action. So it's not like surrendering is disempowering. It's actually empowering, because it's saying, wait, don't do anything right now. That problem or challenge is just going to float away by itself. I coach chiropractors, and so, I get people that say, I did everything right and I got this Yelp review. Right? And they said something bad. Well, what would you do? And I'd say, I just pray to God that people see that, they understand there's another side of the story, and that's not going to deter anything. Is God bigger than a Yelp review? Right? So we get so caught up in conditions that we realize God is bigger than anything. So when we're stressed, just give it to Him. When I have challenges, it's like, I don't want to deal with it. If you listen to another Tuesday Transformation, it's like we use our physiology as a guide. When I feel in my physiology that I'm anxious, or, what am I focused on? What meaning am I assigning? They go, you know what? I'm just going to give it to God. Like, I get to take all that energy. Go, here, you take it. This isn't mine. You fix it. You control the universe. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to get back in love, because, Tony Robbins, when you're in the right state, you find the right strategy. When you're anxious, can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to give it to him. You take that. You take that stress. You take my humanity. I'm going to focus on my divinity. Right? And with that, we always come back to love. With love, there's always a great solution and great strategy. So it's said in A Course in Miracles, we're like drops in an ocean. What's that mean? Hey, we're a drop in something that's so much bigger, yet it's part of us, and we are part of it. And so surrendering is about becoming empowered. It's about releasing. It's about living in faith. It's about living in love, to know that our life has intention. We always receive the right guidance before we make a major decision. Hey, you know what? Does that feel right? Not because of emotion, because we're in the right state. We know we're being divinely guided. We take breaths. Many times we wait, right? Because a person with willpower, patience is the biggest problem, right? Yet that's our biggest lesson. So we wait, we breathe, and we love. So we're all drops in the grand ocean, and I'm great to share and swim in that ocean with you. Thank you. I hope this was a blessing for you, as it was for me.